Adventurers, welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. This is your host, Tom or Robots. As usual, I'm here with my good buddy, the Lotus of Doom. Lotus, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Things are well. We just finished our pre-weather cast that we like to do.
Yeah. It's February still as we record this episode, and we were talking about how crazy the weather is from going like super cold in both of the places we live. And we joke about it. You live up in the Northeast, I live in the Southeast, and in both places it got strangely warm today.
It's very unseasonable where I am right now.
Yeah, in both places. It was almost 90 degrees down here, and it was like freezing almost like 2 or 3 days ago. So weird stuff. But in the world of Tamriel, we've been covering the darker side of things. We talked about Mirac last week, and we've been talking about the villains of Skyrim. And with one more week until we have our patrons back on, I've been thinking about some of the other villains that we could be covering in Skyrim specifically. And I was like, we could talk about the other DLC with the vampires and stuff, but I feel like that's a whole big can of worms because there's a lot to go over. The Dawn Guard and all the other stuff, right? We could do an entire month talking about Dawn Guard and the vampires and Serana and all of that stuff, right?
Individually broken up into their own things.
Absolutely. So I started thinking through all the other villain type characters that you come in contact with. And there's one that I want to hit on. And I think that we're going to start this off with a content warning, particularly because...
Yeah, maybe for this episode. I mean, we've got the explicit tag because Elder Scrolls Surprise is definitely not exactly a all ages affair. Yeah. This is a little more screwed up than some of the other stuff. Yeah,
so I would say that this guy is probably the creep. He puts the creep in I don't know. Maybe we should just say he's the creepiest of the necromancers. He puts the sarcastic romance and necromancy, maybe.
Oh, I wish you wouldn't.
Yeah, in a very dark and sinister kind of
I
doesn't ask permission kind of way.
You might be right, but I wish you wouldn't do that. Don't put the romance in necromancy.
Don't put the romance in necromancy. So we're talking about Arondil, and I think maybe that's how you pronounce his name, Arondil.
That's how I've always said it for for what it's worth.
Yeah, for what it's worth. So there's so many ways you can skin a cat. There's so many ways you can raise the dead. Let's go into this from the perspective of, what do you do in the real world, Lotus, when you're a lonely bachelor and you don't know how to talk to ladies and you spend too much time on the internet and you get frustrated with things?
You become a necromantic incel?
Yeah, well, I think that's probably what you do in the real world, right? So
absolutely. I mean, right?
Right. If you're living in Tamriel, if you're living in Skyrim and you don't have the internet, chances are you
don't have the internet.
You don't have the internet to, lash out against women and be frustrated and attracted at them at the same time. Then you turn into a conjurer. You spend a little bit too much time poring over your conjuration books, and you start wondering what happens if you use some of those conjuration spells on some of the ladies in town. And your mind, you spend a little bit too much time by yourself because you've driven everybody else away, and you start going to these very dark places. This is why everybody needs a friend, and I have a feeling that Arondil drove all of his friends away a long time ago.
I can't imagine he's on the short list of people that want to befriend him.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. So let's get into the details here. Arondil is a high elf. He was originally a conjurer, and he started dabbling in necromancy. And he originally lived in Dawnstar, where he was studying. Well, he took up studying techniques to reanimate the dead. And I have a feeling he's the kind of guy who just didn't have very many encounters with the fairer the fairer gender, the fairer sex.
Again, can't imagine why this guy really just, when I think of speech, mastercraft and speech to 100, actually this guy's below novice level, I'm going to guess at this point.
Probably. And so I probably spent a lot of time wondering what it would be like to talk to a lady. And so he started figuring out ways to force it to happen, which led to the locals thinking that he was a super weirdo and a creep. And then they uncovered a little bit more about what he was actually doing, using his magic to force encounters with women, which led him to be kicked out of town.
And it seems like rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's probably hey, we don't want this guy in our town anymore. I mean, when it comes down to something like this, it's either kicked out, imprisonment, or death.
Well, right. It seems like simply assuming someone like this will get the hint is not going to be the case. And this is definitely going to be one of those situations where if it's not dealt with, you don't know how far this could actually go. And you obviously, in any type of reasonable situation, wouldn't want something like this to escalate. So, you kind of got to remove the problem when that person won't cooperate in any way or anything like that. And it seems like he's absolutely going to fit the bill on that. And he's the part of the equation you can remove.
Right. Well, the straw on the camel's back, the final straw on the camel's back, was when they discovered that he was performing experiments on the dead. And it was...
Yeah, that's also not a selling point.
Not a selling point. So there was the whole, he was being creepy around the ladies and this kind of thing. But once they realized that he was actually practicing necromancy, which is highly illegal, they had a legitimate reason for kicking him out of town. They were like, okay, you're breaking the law here. You're not just a creep. You're not just somebody that we think is kind of sketchy. You're actually breaking the law. Get out. We don't want to have you around.
Right. It's the concrete way that they don't need to be like, well, we're worried about what this is going to lead to. Well, now they have legal cause to remove the thing before anything gets worse, theoretically.
Right. Now,
as the quest proves that it does get worse.
It does get worse. Now, one of the other really disturbing details about this is that all of the bodies found that he was practicing necromancy on were women. He was very particular about which bodies he was using for his study of necromancy, which leads you to wonder why he was choosing specific ones. But we'll get to that in a little bit more.
It's probably not to wonder why.
Yeah, maybe just kind of don't dig into that too much. But so in the quest line, you come across somebody who was interested in uncovering his journals, and we're going to go into the contents of each of these journals. So here we go. Let's just dig in. And again, if this stuff is too disturbing for you, feel free to click off the podcast. But this is Elder Scrolls content. This is in the game. We're not making anything up that isn't already there.
No, and this is not supposed to be a thing. Like, he kind of is a really good villain because this should be pretty reprehensible.
Yes.
That's the thing. This should be bad. You should be kind of skeeved out by this guy. Mm-hmm. It's what he was kind of designed to trigger you into feeling.
Absolutely. So here's the first journal, and it is labeled Day 1. It seems the Cretans, I mean, who uses words like Cretans? Well, somebody like this, of Dawnstar are not quite, the word here is but it probably means as, but there's a miswritten word here. Foolish, as I had summarized. They found my experimentations, and needless to say, were not pleased with what they saw. No matter, my work can only flourish without the distractions of living amongst the unenlightened. So this is I mean, going into real world stuff here, this is something that legitimately happens with people where they feel like they know more than everyone else, and everyone else is just not as enlightened as they are. And so that's why they can justify the terrible things that they're doing. Right. So this is actually in line with like messed up human psychology, or elven psychology in this case. It goes on and says, I have found a cave off to the north coast of Skyrim that will be more than sufficient for my continued studies. The ruins of Ingvild should hold the materials I need to learn more about reanimating and enslaving the dead. So again, not just reanimation.
Yeah, right out the gate, there's not even any neutrality where he thinks he's doing something good. It's right out the gate from this guy. Like, I want to control people because I don't have control of my own life.
Right. On a personal note, I will, in all caps, will miss the young maidens, not even just women, maidens of Dawnstar. Such beauty was intoxication. Sorry, I just had to.
And he really wants to be a poet.
I just had to vomit in my own throat for a second. I often found my thoughts wandering around them, imagining secret encounters between myself and one or two of the local girls. ... So again, like fantasizing, control, all of these kinds of things. Then we move on to the second document, and it is labeled Day 8. And again, this is his journal. I have established a temporary workstation in the cold caves and have found multiple burial chambers within the snow and ice. Burial chambers already there, right? This was already a burial place.
Right.
While in the first chamber, I exhumed a few test subjects, all female. So he pulls out already buried bodies that have been there for who knows how long, of other people, past people buried here. Doesn't care about dealing with the fact that somebody else cares about the fact that these are buried people, how long they've been here, respecting the dead. None of that.
Well, that's kind of something I'm glad you just brought up, because it's very apparent that someone like this does not have respect for, not even just respect for the dead, but he's clearly just to a new level of objectification of other life, where it's just like, this is clearly all just like, this is here because, well, I can do something with it, which is very disturbing. That is a concerning mindset, to say the least.
Right. Yeah. It goes on and says, I was stunned to find my mind wandering again to the women of Dawnstar as I examined my find. So looking at these dead, long time probably, dead, buried bodies makes him think about these living maidens of Dawnstar. He's connecting the two, right? At first, I was slightly disturbed by my thoughts. So the little bit of semblance he has of humanity, starts to kind of, bubble to the surface at first. But later I found myself reevaluating.
Yeah.
And then he starts to push it back down. No.
Ooh, there's that pesky morality. Get rid of that.
Get rid of that. Don't need that. Day 9, the next day. The first trials went splendidly. He just gets right to work.
Just straight at it. Yeah. It's just like, you know what? All that morality, we're over that.
Yeah.
I took some Pepto-Bismol. Not gonna think about it again. That weird feeling in the pit of my stomach, all gone.
All gone. It's good, real good. I took a big dump. Got it out of my system.
Moved on.
Each subject was reanimated in a state of total complacency, bending to my every task and whim. I have ordered a few of my new servants to guard the island, while the rest will act as my personal entourage, standing by me at all times, standing watch over me while I sleep. Again, sorry.
There's that pesky morality getting in your way.
Yeah, the pizza's starting to bubble up in my stomach a little bit. All right, so journal number 3 starts on day 21, and it says, an intriguing development. Tonight, my guards, again, the dead bodies that he's reanimated of these women are his guards, right? Today, my guards have brought me a trespasser they found near the cave. At first, I was understandably upset. Not only was I disturbed during one of my few moments alone with my favorite servant.
Woof.
Oh, no.
Woof.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I recognized the trespasser as a milkmaid from Dawnstar. Somebody that he knew from the town that he was kicked out of. She remembered me as well and made bold claims that I had been lurking near her at all hours. What lies? And okay, pause. We know that just a week and a half, 2 weeks before this moment, that looking at these dead bodies, which he's been spending way too much time with, which made him think about the milkmaid and the other maidens of Dawnstar, got him thinking about these women back at the town again. Was he sneaking back into town to creep on the girls again?
Yeah.
And that's why they followed him back to this place?
I mean, it seems inevitably yes, would be what I would assume.
I think that's what's implied here. And then by creeping on them, I think that and this is definitely adult territory here. I think by creeping on them, it also kind of got his, his blood riled up a little bit. And he would come back to spend some alone time with his favorite dead servant in order to, do his dirty things. And then she happened to have followed him back and noticed what was going on there and then had confronted him. Right. So he says, what lies? True, I had taken notice of her on occasion, but she was nowhere near the most noticeable of the maidens in town. Okay, now, what scumbag has ever been put in his place by a woman and then immediately said, well, you're not that hot anyway?
Yes.
Right?
This is
that's immediately the thing that every douchebag does when a woman puts him in his place.
Right. It's oh, you were not that hot anyways. It's
right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. This is exactly what guys like this do, is they lash back out and they're like, well, which is totally just picking on themselves by saying well, then why were you interested?
It's just deflection behavior, right out the gate. And that's just it. It's all around. This dude is the ultimate creepo stereotype. Absolutely.
Right. So which just all the more makes you just hate his guts, Right.
Yeah. He's just he is a turbo sleaze.
Yes. So it goes on and says, her continued accusations coupled with my fear of more uninvited guests led me to conclude that she would never return to Dawnstar. He concluded that she would never return because, well, he wasn't going to let her, right?
Right. So now he's going to upgrade to murder.
Yes. So my servants were quick to carry out my sentencing because, of course, they would do anything he said. So basically he was like, get rid of her. And that's what he did. Her body is here next to me as I write this. Funny, her eyes are still so full of life. Perhaps I will try my new experiment tonight using fresher materials.
And now the sociopathy has shown up and he's turning into a serial killer.
Yes. So now he's got a fresh body and he's he's just descending more and more into, just necromantic madness. And then his final journal, which starts on the 28th day, says the new experiment has proven a success. The milkmaid, whose name still escapes me. He doesn't even remember her name. That's how much he's objectified her. She's just an object. She's not a person.
Yep.
Was revived as the others, bowing to my commands with only one interesting development. She has reformed incorporeally, more phantasm than reanimated dead. As her glowing visage stood before me, I found my hand reaching out to touch her. As my fingers passed through her, I felt a sensation unlike any other, as if her essence were invigorating my very soul, connecting with me on a level no woman of flesh and blood could do. This discovery is life-changing.
I feel like this is the equivalent of somebody like just politely saying thank you and like holding the door for this guy, and he immediately is like, oh God, it's love type of deal.
Right. Like,
because he has zero idea of what any type of human interaction is like.
Right. Absolutely. And then one week later, we have the 35th. This is the final entry. I have ordered my older servants to go out and find any more subjects that may have become lost. With the discovery of the inner sanctum deeper within, or still within Yngvild, I should have sufficient room to store many new materials until I can transform them into willing slaves. I look back on my daydreams whilst living in Dawnstar and wonder if they were in fact portents of times to come. So everything he's done has now confirmed to him that he's doing what he should be doing, and he should continue to fill up his new sanctum with more victims, basically.
Lovely.
Wonderful. Good plans there, buddy. So those are in chat. Rob the Princess says we've all encountered guys who act like that. But imagine the biggest douchebag you know, now given the powers of like a necromancer. Like, what a terrible situation.
Yeah, this is not somebody you want to have any degree of power either, because it's obviously this person is very mentally concerning. And then you give them the power to do something like this through necromancy or any type of mage power in this world where you can control magic and stuff like that. And that is not a good combo. That is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a brief memory of dealing with this quest, but I haven't gone back and played it in years. I know that when I brought this up to you, Lotus, you remember.
Oh yeah. As soon as you posted that one, I was like, ugh, okay. Yep. With me, I remember, I've done this quest a few times, and I mean, I am definitely your quintessential murder hobo in these games anyways. Mm-hmm. Where and then, I steal anything that isn't nailed down, but a lot of times I don't pay any real attention, but I do love reading the books. And with this character, once I saw what was going on, it's kind of just the original thing, so to speak, that I specifically remember, that I was just like, oh boy, I get to be a hero for a change instead of a murder hobo, because we're not ending this anyway, but with violence. And kind of funny enough, going forward, I always, if I remember, try to grab this quest, just because it's one of the few things I always joke that it's like, well, I made a difference. Because I enjoy putting a stop to this guy. He's just the worst. But yeah, this is definitely one of those side quests that I feel like a lot of times people will often remember more than like a main quest. And at least with me, I've mentioned before that I find the world to be kind of what draws me into this. But I do like the characters and obviously stuff like that. This is one of those characters that just kind of like the way he was designed and added to the game, it's just so unsettling that it's kind of always been one of those quests that I remember, and it sits with me. And I'm just like, whoa, gross. Like that. There's a villain I have no problem with dropping.
Yeah. And I mean, he's not like a big bad. Like we talked about Mirek last time.
You can basically miss this entirely.
Absolutely. We talked about Mirek being like a rival last time, and how that was such a cool thing to add to the game. Somebody who legitimately felt like a real threat. Somebody who like steals the dragon souls from you and really gives you a run for your money. Yeah. And like this guy's not a huge threat. Like he's not a difficult fight, but he's the kind of villain that when you put him down, like you said, you feel like you're making the world a better place.
It's like, wow, I guess I'm not that bad of a hero in this series. It's like I do a lot of questionable things, but at least I'm balancing it out with something like this.
Right. Yeah. Even if you're playing kind of a more of a darker playthrough where you're just kind of stealing stuff from everybody, like you're definitely better than this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, the creep factor in the way he was designed, it really, what I think it is, and it's kind of like hinted at by Rob the Princess here. It's like there's a very real comparison to his personality where it's like that's unfortunately a personality that, you know, is troubling IRL. And then you relate it to somebody with this, and then they actually make them a threat because they have, you know, supernatural powers. It's just like, it's pretty disturbing. Like it's really just like a disturbing thing because it's real enough that you can make that real world connection still, which is, I think, what makes it extra unsettling, as opposed to just like, aha, I'm this omnipotent power coming to destroy the world on Molag Bal or whatever.
Right.
Specifically with this, it's like, ugh, this is almost relatable. This is horrifying.
Like, yeah. Like if you were to give like the dregs of society more, I don't know, more power. I mean, really, this is what comes down to it. More power to really, and in some cases that happens, and usually that comes through money and influence.
Sure,
you know, and like, I mean, heck, think about somebody like Jeffrey Epstein. You know, like we have people who do terrible things to other people, children and women and minorities, and they abuse their power over the people that they can manipulate, who are put in situations that they can take advantage of them. Right. You know, the poor, you know, like just anybody in their control, the people who work for them, whatever, they manipulate these situations. And
I mean, without getting like too involved with, but like even in our own game space, that whole fiasco around like the Activision Blizzard thing, it's to a degree, like that's like, it's really gross that it's like, this is a thing that's, you know, unfortunately part of the real world too, because as we've mentioned before, Elder Scrolls has a lot of parallels to the real world and stuff like that. And it's like, it's drawn from stuff like, you know, real world events, real world parallels, and they're not all great. Like a lot of them are very unsettling, and this being a prime example of that. Yeah.
So it's interesting how they take things that happen in real life and the psychology of real people, and then they move them into this world and they go, okay, but what if this person was a necromancer? Because it makes sense, right? They want control. What greater control can you have over somebody than controlling their remains? You know, like both murdering them because you're a psychopath and then controlling their body from that point on is just like so dark.
Yeah, it's so really screwed up. It's going for like dominance over the person, like their existence, which is what's so unsettling about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's some other details that we're going to get into with this, but first we have to thank our patrons, and we've got a new review, and so we'll be right back.
The skies are marked with numberless sparks, each a fire, and every one a sign.
Man, you guys have been just amazing these last few weeks. We've got a bunch of new patrons to welcome on board again. So we're just going to get through the list real quick. We've got Quaid H and David B and Jason H and Logan S and Andrew C. Welcome to the Patreon. And that means that we are up to a total of 77 patrons.
Good Lord.
You guys are amazing. And a big thank you to our Daedric Princes, our tier 5 patrons who get shout outs every week. Mr. Gami Boy and Noodle El Dente still holding those spots. So thank you to you guys and all 77 of our patrons. And man, you guys are the best. So thank you. If we've done anything to help you get through your workday, your drive to work, your workout, or trying to figure out where you put your glasses before you do a podcast, then go to patreon.com/Elder Scrolls Lorecast and check out all the different tiers, because you can get ad-free episodes and even t-shirts, which I've seen some of the pictures you guys have been sharing. I saw the Boethia one.
Those look cool.
Yeah, it looked really, really cool. And again, I'm super jealous because, I mean, I've got my Brotherhood t-shirt on right now, but I didn't make this one, and I got it from one of those online stores. But
yeah, I was going to say, I've got my Elder Scrolls Light jacket hoodie thing, but it came out of a loot crate, I think.
Yeah, but like the cool ones that we've got up on the Patreon store are just for you guys. They're never going to be anywhere else. We can't even get them. And they're just for our tier 4 and higher patrons. And of course, tier 3 gets the sticker versions. So if you're interested in that stuff, go check it out. And we also have a review. This one comes from, and I don't think we covered this one, even though it showed up on the 8th, which was before last week's episode, but I don't think it came up. Let me know if I read this one last week, but it was from O Cracker. Does that sound familiar? From Canada?
I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the version. He was polite enough to leave a review as on Tales of Tamriel 2. So if you you tend to listen to our the other
did
show
he leave us
well,
both
so
reviews? Okay,
read out O Cracker O's review from
O'Cracker. Yeah. Okay. So he wrote an amazing with a smiley face with stars. I don't know if he did that on yours too. 5 stars. Just started listening to these two guys, and these two guys have a great rapport. Very entertaining. I'm a returning player and have just listened to the lore. I'm sorry. Just listening to the lore makes me want to come home and load up ESO. So, O'Cracker, thank you so much. And thanks for keeping our head warm up there in Canada for being America's hat.
So my favorite part about this is, which I can do to tie in, we're going to do cross-show tie-ins here. This is actually, I didn't realize you listened to both shows, O'Cracker. So this is the network that I suggested you find the Red Diamond Courier on if you're looking for a group on Xbox. Yeah. That's where O'Cracker plays. And he was looking for, or they were looking for, what do you call it? A group of kind of like-minded, goofy, fun things to play. And so this is your place. This is the network to find them on. I had no idea that you listened to both shows. So, glad we can entertain.
Yep, those guys have a great guild, and they also have an awesome show. If you're into, they've got a lot of tips for gameplay, especially PvP stuff. So Red Diamond Courier,
getting into it and stuff like that. Too.
Yeah. So another awesome podcast to check out. They're also part of the Robots Radio Network, so go check them out. But yeah, so thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's get on with the rest of the show.
Yes, you're entirely brilliant. Conquering madness and all that. Blah, 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 blah.
So this episode got real dark. And
this one's pretty dark.
Yeah. So apologize if this was a little vomit inducing, but I mean, that's just where these games get sometimes. Just get a little creepy.
It can happen.
There's some quotes and some other little trivia bits I wanted to cover about this character before we wrap up the episode. So some of the quotes that are interesting because they depend on the gender that you are, or I guess the sex that you are. You choose your sex, you don't really choose your gender. But if you engage in combat with good old Arondil. So if you engage in combat as a woman, he will say things like, another plaything from my collection.
Of course he will.
Oh, sorry, I just vomited again. If you engage in combat as a man, he will say, what an intruder, attack my lovelies. Because he doesn't want you as his plaything.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I'm amazed he doesn't yell out like, no, blast competition.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't say that. Like, no.
Because he's so concerned with himself and being a creep.
Nope. Yeah, get out of here. No, he doesn't say that. And if you stole his soul gem, or you stole the soul gem, right, which is part of the stuff you do here, he says, what's happening? No, leave me alone, which is just another one of his quotes. He has a few things he'll say, right? So this is interesting. The Yingvild ghost standing next to his throne can be turned against him by sneaking by them and taking the soul gem on the pedestal. So the soul gem is tied to, I guess, the ghost spirit. And so if you possess the soul gem, then it will actually start attacking him. Like he can no longer control it.
Interesting.
Which is kind of cool, right?
I'm not sure I knew that.
Yeah.
That does not like, that sounds like I don't, if I've ever done that, that seems wildly accidental.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it makes you want to try it out again and be like, okay, what if I sneak in there and just take the soul gem? Will the ghost kill him?
Right.
Like maybe maybe the only reason, like in the journals, it seems like he has this like moment with the ghost form of the maiden where she like, like, oh, this moment with this maiden, the ghost form is like revolutionary, right? But that's only because he's controlling it, not because she wants to be there. Mm-hmm. Right. But so if you take that power away from him and it rebels against him, that's kind of like the best version of revenge.
Right.
Which is kind of cool.
Very satisfying. Like let them get payback as well. And you get to just witness the payback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then the unique dialogue, the what's happening, no, leave me alone, is specifically tied to and it says here, if the soul gem was taken off the pedestal and the ghost kills him, and then he is resurrected as a dead thrall, like you resurrect him, Arondil will use his unique dialogue about the soul gem whenever in battle.
Nice.
Like he'll just keep yelling, what's happening? No, leave me alone.
That's pretty funny.
Like, so that like line of dialogue keeps coming back up again. Like he's just forever tormented by the fact that like
tormented by it.
Like he is now being controlled by somebody else.
Fitting end. I love it.
Right. Which is great. Like, I wonder, I mean, whenever you go through like one of those like actual doorways that reloads a new zone, like you can't actually take like a body with you.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it'll despawn. Yeah,
I know what you're saying. Because you activate the door and then like if you were dragging it, it would drop it to open the door.
Right. And it just goes away. But I wonder if there's a mod that allows you to like actually do that. Like to put it in your inventory, take it through and then drop it again or something. Like that would be amazing, because then you could just like, or to like, maybe there's a mod that like allows you to enthrall something, like to raise something as a zombie, and then that turns it into a companion. Like it redefines it in the code as a companion so that it just continues to follow you like any companion would. Like, wouldn't that be amazing to just like,
I would be pretty entertained by that. Yeah.
To like get the final like one over on him by just completely making him your thrall for like,
oh man, that'd be forever. So satisfying.
Yeah. That would be the best.
I would be a big fan of that. Big fan.
And then whenever you have to do something absolutely terrible, just making him do it.
I question though what we would consider terrible from his perspective though.
I'm thinking just anything painful.
Be like being polite to people, would that be his undoing?
Yeah, or especially women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like hold the door for these ladies.
Just hold the door.
Like be civil, be polite. Like, and it's like, no.
Hey, Arondil, we're gonna go
internally.
We're gonna go to dinner with these nice ladies. Give them a compliment.
Yes, and we're not gonna do anything creepy. We're literally just going to be polite.
Right. Like, hey, can you pay the tip, please? Yes,
because we are not monsters. We're just going to be civil, and I'm going to watch your soul leave your body.
What's happening? No, leave me alone. Arondil, come on now. Okay.
All right.
When are you going to let me die? Not yet, Arondil. Not yet. Oh, also, see those spinning blades over there on that trap? Yeah, you're going to navigate that and pull the switch on the other side.
Yeah. Make this safe for me and everyone else who would like to go through this area.
And then hold the switch for the ladies to go through.
Yes.
Thank you.
Be polite.
Be polite, Arondil.
Be polite.
Also, fight that dragon for me.
Yeah. Oh, also do these actual horrible things that I don't want to do.
Yeah. That dragon that can just bite your head off. Yeah. Go kill it.
Work on that for me.
Yeah. You go kill it. I'm going to hang out by my horse. You go fight it.
I'm gonna pick these flowers.
I'm gonna go pick some flowers. I'm gonna just gather some food, mine this ore while you fight the dragon. Good luck.
You'll be fine.
You'll be fine. Oh, what if I get killed? Well, you can't die. I'll just resurrect you again.
Don't worry. You showed me all this necromancy.
Yeah,
I got this.
I'm just gonna use your necromantic spells and just resurrect you over and over until you beat the dragon. Don't worry about it.
Personally, I'd say we're heroes.
I think that this is the best solution.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's Arondil. And
And he's a huge creep.
A huge creep, and that is the best solution for, getting back at him for being a super creep. Poor milkmaid, though. I mean, other than giving her the final say and letting her kill him. She had
kind of an untimely end.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, but you can keep the other ladies in Dawnguard safe, that's nice. So,
yeah,
at least there's that. So
remember, on your Skyrim playthroughs, do the world of Tamriel a favor and get rid of people like this.
Right. I think we could do even one better, though. He does walk around in a necromancy robe. I think we should make him wear something that says he's a real gentleman now. I don't know what specifically. Do you have any ideas?
I'm trying to think of what I want to make it like, what is something in game you could use too?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Really,
I mean, he looks like a total creepo. Like if you actually,
and if you haven't seen, I was going to say that the photo that we used for the tweet is from the UESP, correct?
Yeah, I just pulled it from there.
I was going to say, look up on the UESP what this dude looks like. He is a total creep. Like he's just got a creeper vibe. There's really not. It's hard to quantify it. But
it's him sitting on his throne. He's a high elf with like very pale skin, and his cave has like this like dim blue lighting, so it makes his skin look almost like he's dead. Yep. And he's got these like bright yellow eyes and this is like ratty long hair. Like I
assume that's from him just making inappropriate comments on what would you have for social media on Tamriel? I guess it'd be using those Nemo spores.
Yeah, well, the internet, the Elder Scrolls internet.
Right. Yeah. So that's just it. He spends all day sending inappropriate Memo spores to people completely unasked for, unsolicited entirely. Right. That's what this dude does in his free time.
Right. Yeah. And sending pictures of parts of his body that nobody wants to see. Yep. I don't think he's showered in forever either. Look at that hair.
So there you go. This was a disturbing expose.
If you manage to make him your thrall and dress him up as a handsome gentleman, please send us a picture on the Robots Radio Discord.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good. That's why I don't have enough.
Just some of the finery, just some of the nice clothes that you get around Skyrim would be nice. Maybe a fancy hat. Something that says.
I'm not the biggest. What do you call it? Fashion Scrolls player. So that's why I can't think of any like good attire that might be useful.
Mm-hmm. Just a fancy hat and some nice robes, I think would be fine. I think that would be good enough.
Yep.
Clean him up a little bit. That'd be real good. But that's what we got this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show and it didn't creep you out too much. Lotus, you got anything else going on you want to share?
No, nothing too exciting. For anybody who might not know as well, just because I saw that Rob the Princess was saying that Red Diamond was giving them a hand with PvP stuff. The mid-year or White Strikes Mayhem now has just kicked off. So there is a event in the PvP section of Elder Scrolls Online. If you play there, it's definitely worth checking out. Lots of good rewards and stuff like that. And you won't have to just fight the sweat lords, as Deltia would call them. There's with more people being in the event, now is generally a good time to try because you might find some more people of comparable skill as you get your feet wet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a lot easier going.
I personally love this event. It's my favorite.
Yep. And it's, named after a really awesome gay cyborg from the future. So,
yep. Who
That's
did
cool.
Get a little murder happy at times.
He goes kind of nuts. We go back and listen to our Pelinal White Strike episode. Super cool, super weird stuff, but real weird. Weird. Yeah. Anything else going on?
No, not too much. I was going to say it's just that we ideally have probably our White Strikes Mayhem episode of Tales this weekend, and then we're getting very close to episode 300 over there. So if you we're basically working on our anniversary show, so to speak. So we're still, if you want to send me or the official show itself on Twitter or whatever, anything, we are collecting any memories people might have that they found memorable from the show, or bumping into people from game or anything like that. So feel free to send them over. It's kind of fun to look back and see, since it's much more of a community based podcast than anything I started myself, because show's been around a lot longer than I've been doing any of this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
cool. Let's see. I've got Skyrim with my mom, which shows up on this feed. So if you guys have been enjoying that, then you can always join us on Tuesdays, except for the end of the month, because often that becomes the Fallout Patron night. So that's Fallout Patron night's coming up next week. We also have the Elder Scrolls Patron night coming up next week as well on Thursday, because February is such a short month. So that's already here again. So patrons, come join us. And if you want to sign up as a tier 4 patron to talk with us at the end of the month about whatever topic you guys would like to cover, maybe we can talk about some of our favorite villains. That would be a lot of fun to discuss with the community, since we've been talking about villains. So that's coming up next week. Also, guys, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast YouTube channel, I moved everything over a few months ago from the Robots Radio YouTube channel to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast YouTube channel for all the videos. I still stream on Robots Radio, but once the streams are done, I take the videos and put them up on the Elder Scrolls Lorecast YouTube channel. I'm trying to get that to the 1,000 subscribers mark. And if you can just drop us a subscription over there on that YouTube channel, and you can just search it, it comes right up. That would be amazing, because YouTube's at the point now where they are going to put ads on videos anyway. And if we can get to the 1,000 subscribers mark, then we can actually start making money from those ads, which would be very helpful in supporting the show and doesn't cost you any money. And you can still skip the pre-roll ads and
subs on YouTube are unlike on Twitch, where those are the free things. It's essentially like a follow, but it's just different naming.
Right. And that way, when YouTube inevitably puts an ad up, which they're going to do anyway, we'll at least see a little bit of that money, which would be helpful. So, so if you want to just take a minute to go look that up and add a sub on there. Plus, you can see our faces. If you've always just listened to the show, you could always just watch a show and, check us out on there. And by check us out, I mean, check us out in the creepy kind of way. Then,
looming from the shrubs as a necromancer.
I just vomited again. But let's see. Anything else going on? I don't know. There's tons of stuff. Lots of shows at robotsradio.net. And of course, there's all sorts of different stuff during the week on Robots Radio on YouTube and Twitch and everywhere else, because we're just streaming everywhere at this point. So we'd love to see you guys on the live streams if you can. And thanks for being here, live stream people, chat, everybody. It's so fun to see your comments during the stream. Thanks for being here. And we will see you again next week with our patron chat. And until then, make sure that you don't turn into a weird, creepy necromancer. Have friends and people who are able to let you know when you're being creepy, so that you don't turn into a creepo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not grow up to be a necromantic incel. It is a bad look.
It's bad news. Bad news. Don't do it.
Bad news.
Don't do it. All right. We'll see you guys later. Bye everyone.
Everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. If you have something you'd like to contribute to the show, please reach out to us at elderscrollslorecast@gmail.com or on Twitter @ESOLorecast. I really appreciate you listening, and I'd love to hear from you soon.
You've been listening to a Robots Radio podcast. Smart shows for interesting people. Check out all the shows at robotsradio.net.
The necromantic incels. That sounds like a weird goth band.
It's like Bullet for My Valentine.
Yeah, like, hey, Boston, what's up? We're the necromantic incels.
Yeah, see that? It's a budding emo band right there.
But it's spelled like neck, N-E-C-K, romantic, in cells.
Oh, I didn't even think of spelling it weird.
Yeah, like neck, romantic, in cells. And the picture is like vampires locked behind bars. Like making out.
Wow. This show took another dark turn.